Yo. What's up, world? You know what it is. It's that time again. Welcome to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News Radio. Hope that you're tuning in via one of our platforms, be it Facebook, at In Touch News. You could go and search In Touch News and you should see the live stream. Go to YouTube, check us out at the In Touch News channel, and you can also call in at 813-444-9588. And I just want to say, as is my custom, I'm so appreciative of this platform. One time for my main man, DJ CEO, and Mrs. DJ CEO, a.k.a. Tampa Bay Tammy, for continuing to make this platform available for this program and others. I don't ever say this, but I guess I should. I'm Life Malcolm, and this is the Life Malcolm Show. Every time I come on here and say, this is the Life Malcolm Show, and welcome to the Life Malcolm Show. And I never introduced myself. It's like since the first broadcast. Maybe if you're tuning in for the first time, you're like, who in the hell is Life Malcolm? When they going to introduce him? Well, it's me. And so I just, as we continue to do this program, we're getting better and better, and working it. Working ourselves into the broadcasting protocols, and so that's what's happening. I'm learning. I appreciate you allowing me to grow right before your eyes. So today, you know how we do it, right? I mean, I wanted to, in case you don't know, I'm guessing that you know, but in case you don't know how we do it like this on the Life Malcolm Show. We do, something light, then something heavy, then we do a word from the law or something like that. I don't even know if we have a title for that segment yet, but something light, something heavy, then a word from, we're going to come up with a title for that little middle segment right there, and we then do a word from the Word. If you have your Bibles, even if you don't, if you have your cell phone these days, right, you can go ahead and look up the verse we're going to deal with. Let me see if I can find it for you. It's going to be Matthew chapter 10, chapter 10, we're going to start around verse 16. So you can go ahead and get yourselves armed up so we can talk about it. Pick up your phone, your Bible, find the scripture, do a quick read. Let me tell you, you should read from 16 on down till about 24. So Matthew chapter 10, verse 16 to verse 24. That's where we're going to do a word from the Word. We're going to try to get there quickly enough to deal with that in a meaningful way. So hope you had a great weekend. For me, my weekend was magnificent. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the weekend as we talk about the something heavy. But it was a really informative and powerful weekend. I really want to appreciate Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the leader of the Worldwide International African Revolution, the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, and the the leader of the Uhuru movement, also the chairman of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. The Black is Back Coalition put on a tremendous webinar this past weekend, a 2-day webinar, tremendous webinar. And so I'm going to tell you more about that on the other side of the break, on the other side of the first break. But I just really wanted to share that I had a magnificent weekend based on that experience alone. And 2 of my favorite people came home this weekend. I sent my daughters to hang out with my cousins. I think I told y'all, I'm sure I told y'all last week about my cousin in the D, or from the D, who some punk ass dude murdered in Ohio. And my daughters were in Detroit with that part of my family. So like I said, something like, so I'll tell you about that part of my family, man. That part of my family is my maternal side and also my maternal grandmother's side. So my mother's side of the family, right? And this particular branch that's hanging out in Detroit, for the most part, is my grandmother's oldest daughter and my favorite aunt. It was, my grandmother had 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. Junior boy, who was born this month. Yeah, Junior boy was born this month, August 22nd. The same day as Providence would have it, my grandfather, his father, was born August 22nd. I think I got it right, man. My uncle's been dead for a long time. I remember his death date better than I remember his birthday, unfortunately. But I don't get to celebrate his birthday often. Nevertheless, my grandfather was born in August. My uncle was born in August, the oldest child, and after my uncle, Junior boy, was Uncle Ernest, who is, so Junior boy is my favorite uncle because he was here, raised me, he lived in the house with this fun guy, used to, have it, get his sip on. And I remember being 5 years old when my mother thought that it would be a good idea to give me a coffee mug full of gin, straight gin, Seagram's, bumpy face, because she thought that would deter me from picking up the strong drink. And it didn't work, Mama. And so I would steal sips from Junior boy, and I can't say borrow. I didn't give them back, but I would borrow cigarettes because I'd smoke them and put them back. He'd leave. He didn't. That's back in the day when they used to have or they might still have Cools. They don't have many commercials. But anyway, they had these Cool cigarettes, and my uncle wouldn't smoke them all the way down to the filter, so he'd leave a little piece, and I'd go in, and by the time I learned how to strike a match, I'd go in, steal the little. I don't know what you call them. The shorts, yeah, that's what they call it. Steal the little shorts out the ashtray and go outside to the backyard and smoke it, and then try to bring it back in the house and put it in the ashtray and stay outside long enough so I don't smell like cigarettes. And Junior boy is fun, man. So I'll tell you a Junior boy story. Okay, well, let me finish saying no, I'm gonna tell you a Junior boy story. I was gonna finish the family, but I was talking about my aunt. Anyway, look, so this is something like funny Junior boy story, and then get back to the other stuff. So my mother, very Christian woman, for by all standards, a woman who only had one man in her life, one husband. When that dude left, I was her only man, been her only man in her life for the past 46 years. Did I say don't drink already? Don't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't smoke, no cussing, growing up in her house, all we listened to was 91.1 FM, just white people singing the most boring kinds of Christian songs that you could imagine, and they had like this one guy who would tell these Bible stories, these children's Bible stories, and it would torture me. But but my mother's just wholesome Christian woman, and not only that, my mother worked in the hospital, so she prided herself on using scientific terms. As I grew up, I don't know, from the age of I guess 2, 3, something like that. When I first started talking, my mother never used words like boo boo, pee pee, never said number one, number two, nothing like that. My mother, from the time I was 2, 3 years old, she was talking about urinate and defecate. I'm 2, 3 years old. I'm in kindergarten. I have to defecate, and so yeah. So Junior Boy, though, like I said, wasn't nothing like that. Junior Boy used to cuss, you understand me, and sip. And so, Junior Boy lived with us, on and off throughout the course of my life as a young child, even, up until high school. And so, as a matter of fact, I think I was right around high school age, and I had a puppy. And it was winter time, and it's Florida, but how cold is it, right? But it was cold enough. My parents, my mother and my grandmother raised me. I called them my parents, and Junior Boy had this philosophy that you had to bring the little dog inside where it was warm, so that the cold wouldn't kill the little dog. And so, one night, this cold winter night, Junior Boy said, "You got to bring in the puppy." I said, "All right, cool." So I bring the puppy in, and he say, "Get some newspaper so you can put some newspaper on the floor so the dog don't defecate all over the place," or whatever it is Ernestine calls it, besides. And I just, you talking about cracked up, he say defecate, or whatever it is Ernestine, my mother's Ernestine, calls it, besides. Yeah, cracked up. But anyway, so it's Junior Boy, Uncle Ernest, which is like now my favorite uncle, the only uncle left on that side anyway, but by far my favorite. Had a lot more time with him than I had with Junior Boy, even though Junior Boy raised me. I've been Junior Boy been gone since I was 20-something. Uncle Ernest been kicking it since then, so that another 20 years hanging out, smoking cigars. Uncle Ernest just had a birthday too on August 7th. We're gonna talk about August a little bit this show. Had a birthday, I think like 84, 85, and but like just chilling, hanging out at the cigar shop with the homie and just sipping. But just fun guy. Then there was the first girl, sister. They called her because she was a girl, sister. So Auntie Sister is the favorite aunt. Carl, I hear you. I'm about to finish this story, but you can go on. Go ahead. We're gonna put you on and come on in. Then we're gonna go to break. So stay with us. And then so Auntie Sister is the aunt who lives in Detroit. And then after sister, my mother, and then the youngest child, Alberta, who also shares the same birthday with her eldest brother and her father. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Auntie Sister and her offspring are mostly in Detroit, like most of her children and grandchildren, etc. And so my daughter spent the summer with them, and it just came back home, and I'm so happy. Carla, come in.
Yes, how are you?
I'm splendid. How about yourself? Please give us your name and tell us where you're calling from.
This is Margaret from Tampa.
Okay, hey, Margaret from Tampa.
Hi. I hear you call in on Walter's show, and when you're speaking about the COVID situation and diet and things, and you give some good points about why they don't basically talk about the healthy way that we should eat in order to, not just for COVID, but any time, but for this particular time, how we can eat to give our bodies the immune system that we need. So I was hoping that you would take some time on your show each week to say something about those things.
I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, the announcement I posted about the show today on Instagram and Facebook, mentioned that today we're going to talk a little bit about the colonial virus, and so I will definitely say something about the nutritional stuff you just brought up. I appreciate that prompt.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. I hope you call in again. Thank you for calling. All right, so listen, I think it's about time to go to break. So okay, look, we're gonna go to break, and based on what Margaret from Tampa just told us, we gonna talk about the colonial virus coming up next, right here on the Life Malcolm Show, In Touch News, where everybody is a star, and the biggest star is you.
My show that will be all up in your business. Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Couso. Every Wednesday at 12:31 p.m. My business experts provide insight for business entities and entrepreneurs. So join us every Wednesday from 12:31 p.m. to 1:31 p.m. at www.intouchnews.com. Catch my show.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
All right. Welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show. I'm your host, Life Malcolm, and we're right here live on InTouchNews.com, where everybody is a star and the biggest star is you. Call in too, man, 813-444-9588. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. But right now, we're going to talk about what Margaret wants to talk about, and I want to talk about it too. Like I said, I already made the announcement, or the post, whatever you call it, on Instagram and Facebook, saying that we're going to talk about the colonial virus tonight. And if you wonder why I call it the colonial virus, it's because I'm a student of Chairman Amala Yusatella and an African internationalist, and understand that every damn thing that is wrong with Africans, no matter where we are in the world, is a result of colonialism. And not just Africa, but everything. I can't think of something in the world that's messed up that ain't messed up because of colonialism right now. So everything that's messed up in the world, and I don't want to say messed up, but I don't want to use up my cussing quota either. So but everything that's messed, because it's only the 10th of the month. So, I mean, yeah, but everything that's messed up in the world is messed up because of colonialism. And you might say, well, what is colonialism? It's simple. It's not, maybe it sounds like a big word or a complicated idea, but it's not. Colonialism is simply one nation's domination, both ideologically and materially, one nation's domination of another nation, one people's domination of another people. And for a real world example, white people right now colonize African people in the U.S. and everywhere else we are, because white people control everything that we do, every facet of our lives. Whether you believe it or not, it's true. Where do you get your water? Where do you get your food? Where do you get your lights? Where do you generally speaking, I know some of y'all out there using solar, wind, water, got wells, gardens. I understand, but generally speaking, who says when you can get gas? Believe it or not, they do, because when they put the price up to $5 an hour, you stay your ass home. $5 a gallon, you stay your ass home. Because you can't afford the gas. I mean, look, them high gas prices saves a lot of relationships. You understand me? Because you can't go creeping when the gas is high. You have to stay home with the person that you say you love. Because gas is too high. But anyway, colonialism, that is colonialism, where one nation, one people controls and dominates every facet of another nation's lives. So, colonial virus, right? And check it. If you don't believe me, right, that everything that's wrong, so certainly you can't disagree that white people dominate and control everything concerning African people's lives. You cannot disagree with that. You cannot refute that in any meaningful way. If you can't, call up and do it. Let's have that conversation. But if you agree, let's just say, for the sake of argument, you do agree, then you just use your own experience, what you know about the world, and tell me if this makes sense to you. That if you have a parent or an entity in control, if you have leadership that has the final say so over how things under that particular entities, whether it's parent, leader, king, whatever, president, under a mayor, under their custody and control, under their governance, if they have all the say so, right? If something goes wrong under their say so, whose fault is it, right? If something messed up under their leadership, they got all the control. They can say when, where, how, what, who. They got all the control. If something is messed up, whose fault is it? Is it the subject or the ruler? If you have a parent, if you have a household where there are parents and children, etc., and there ain't no lights in the house, ain't no water in the house, the clothes ain't washed, who you gonna blame, the children, or you gonna point the finger to the parent? I mean, so if something is wrong in the world, and we know there's something wrong in the world, it's the colonizer's fault. So, all right, cool. I just wanted to lay down that little bit of political education on colonialism. So you know why I call it the colonial virus, because I don't know nothing about what corona is supposed to mean. I don't know what it should, what I'm supposed to understand from that label. But what I do know is we have to name it right in order to fix it. You understand? So Queen Mother Moore used to say that. So we're talking about colonial virus. Over the weekend, I listened to this white woman, seemed to be pretty sharp, named Dr. Teresa Lowry. Tess, they call it for short, Tess, TESSLAWRIE. You should look up. She's over in England, Bath, England, and that's BATH, Bath, England, and she gave this incredible interview. But this guy, the interviewer, kept jugging at her about her perception of colonial virus and the vaccine. So a few things Dr. Tess Lowry brought up, and I'm not saying I subscribe to these ideas or not, but I just want to put these ideas to you so that you can do your independent investigation, see what you come up with. One thing Dr. Lowry said, pointed out, is that since 1968, when the vaccine for tetanus came out, right? There's only been, I want to say she said, I've been reading and looking at a lot of stuff, but something, I can, if I'm wrong, I'll come back and correct myself like next week, but I'm sure she said since 1968 when the tetanus vaccine came out, there's only been something like 36 reported deaths since 1968. However, since the colonial virus vaccine came out, the colonial virus dose, I don't call it the vaccine, what's the dose? I gotta uncolonize my tongue and call it the dose. So since the dose came out, in 1 year's time, there have been over 300,000 adverse reports of adverse reactions to the colonial virus, including 2,208 strokes, 154 deaths in 1 year, right? She also pointed out that there's this drug called ivermectin, IVERMECTIN. Have you heard of it? If you've heard of ivermectin, then you probably ahead of the curve. But ivermectin is a drug that they came out with in the 90s, I think like 92 or something like that, that people use to treat tropical parasites and ailments from that kind of thing. It's a cheap kind of medication. You can get it over the counter for the low. And so what Dr. Laurie said in the interview is that healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers in the UK use ivermectin both prophylactically and curatively for the colonial virus. And it's effective. It's effective. And not only effective, it's safe. Since 1992, there's been less than 100 reported deaths from the use of ivermectin. And of course, there's this big pushback against Dr. Tess Laurie and the idea of using ivermectin. And the interviewer asked Dr. Laurie why she thought this big pushback exists. And her response was, there are powers that be at work that most of us might not be aware of. And one example Dr. Laurie gave is the fact that the COVID industry, as she labeled it, she suspects is worth, how much y'all guess? Hold on, how much you guess? She said a year. She said
7.2 billion.
Okay, how much you guess? A billion? She said, Dr. Laurie said that the colonial virus industry is a 100 billion pound industry. 100 billion pounds. A pound is almost twice the dollar. I mean, I don't know what it is these days. When I was over there, it was like twice the dollar. I haven't needed to know the currency exchange as of late. But 100, huh? So it's almost 1.5 times the dollar these days. So it's almost like $150 billion industry. Get your mask, get your dose. All the posters they putting up, all the commercials, all the, well, yeah, man, look here. So, but Dr. Laurie, the last thing I would say is, leading up to, going into Margaret's request that I talk more about nutrition, what have you. The other thing Dr. Laurie said is that she believes that a robust immune system is a formidable mechanism against viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens, invaders that might affect or inflict the human body. And that's so true. The thing is, though, you have to give your body what it needs. And I got 2 minutes before I go to break, but I'm going to run this down as quickly but as slowly at the same time as I can so you catch it. What do you need? Vitamins. What vitamins? Well, all of them. But, certainly vitamin D3, especially if you're African, because your melanated skin won't let you get it from the sun. D2, of course, converts to D3. You can't get D2, which comes from. So vitamin D3. Stock up on your vitamin C. Vitamin B12 is helpful, too. I take a multivitamin. You should do that too, especially if you over 35. So what else? Antioxidants. Supplements if you can, but berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. Berries. You understand berries? Bananas. Did you know bananas are berries? Get minerals. I take what's called colloidal minerals, trace minerals, colloidal minerals, which comes from slate. And so get your colloidal minerals on. Be sure that you get water. If you should get half your body weight in ounces of water every day. If you weigh 200 pounds, you should be getting 100 ounces of water every day. every day. If you don't do it, you are underhydrated, chronically dehydrated, which brings about all kinds of ailments. There's this wonderful book out written by a guy named Dr. Feridun Batmangalich called "You Are Not Sick, You Are Thirsty, Your Body's Many Cries for Water." Just Google Dr. Batman water and you'll find the book. You're not sick, you're thirsty. Water is so good for so many ailments, right? And on top of that, or along with that, be sure that you get adequate rest. If you are an adult, you need somewhere between 8 to 10 hours of sleep every day. Not more, not less, right in that pocket of 8 to 10 hours of sleep where it helps your body regenerate, etc. And so, okay, yeah, so that there you go right there. I hear my music telling me that it's time to move on to break. And we're going to do that, and then we're going to move into the heavy right after this on the Life Malcolm Show. Man, I appreciate you being here. See you on the other side.
Comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web. In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
All right. You know what it is. In case you don't, it's the Life Malcolm Show. And we right here with you. With your host, Life Malcolm. All right. So, time for the heavy. Y'all see, I'm rocking my Assata Shakur shirt. I forget exactly what it says, but yeah, you can see it hopefully. Can you see it? Yeah. Assata Shakur is a tremendous, I say was, I mean, she's still alive, you know, but so is an example, is a tremendous soldier in our movement for African liberation and independence, and was in the 1970s a focal point, you know, an icon, 1970s and beyond, even, you know, an icon in our struggle. And of course, the colonizer, since she stood up for herself and exacted justice on the colonizer on that turnpike, has been a fugitive from so-called United States colonial justice, on the run, on the move, safely tucked away in Cuba, thanks to comrades there who've always been down with Africans and the African liberation movement, certainly since the rise to power of Fidel Castro, El Comandante Fidel Castro, and of course Che Guevara. So this past weekend, y'all know this is what y'all call August? Black Business Month. Well, this is Black August. And I'm gonna tell you, since my super duper producer, who I neglected to thank at the beginning of the show, one time for my super duper producer, DJ ANA, who makes everything that looks good on this show look as good as it does. She said Black Business Month. I want to tell y'all something. It's not good enough just to buy black, just to support black business. It's not good enough. I'll tell you why. Why, you ask? I'll tell you why. Glad you asked. Because when you support black business and buy black, where your black money go? Where they take your black money? To the white bank, don't they? If not, tell them to show me, huh? Tell them to show me what black bank the black money go to when you support the black business, or what effort, what movement the money goes to when you just buy black. That's not good enough. You don't tell us nothing. What we should instead do is support black power. Yeah, buy black power. You understand? So when you find an organization like the ones I've called out, I'm not here to promote necessarily, solicit funds necessarily in this program for that purpose. I don't want people to get confused about the purpose of this conversation. I'm saying whenever you find an organization, and unfortunately, you ain't gonna find no other organization right now besides the African People's Socialist Party who puts forth black power, the Black Power blueprint, and has the answer to the question, to what end? People do all sorts of stuff, and like support a black business, but to what end? Buy black, but to what end? If the end is not the capture of power, not to facilitate, not to gather and garner resources to facilitate the day when we govern our own selves, to build for our self-determination, then what the hell are you doing it for? Just to be to say that you're a good black capitalist, as if a Negro could be a capitalist? How the hell capital go from being capital to being a capitalist? It's impossible. We capital, always have been, always will be, until we take power and overturn the current social system. So this, for African revolutionaries and certainly African internationalists, is Black August. Ever heard that phrase, that term, Black August? You know where it comes from? So, back in 1970, on August 7th of 1970, a young brother, 17 years old, young brother, and a few of his comrades, young brother named Jonathan Jackson, and a few of his comrades rolled up to the Marin County Courthouse. It started straight, Marin County, didn't start with a C house, but the Marin County Courthouse, marched up in the courthouse with guns, and I know they took the judge. I forget who all they took. I think they took a bailiff or something, but they sure enough took the judge, taped the shotgun to his neck. You understand me? But when they walked in the courtroom, they made the announcement, gentlemen, we're taking over from here. Yeah. I love that. They made it in open court. That they said, gentlemen, we're taking over from here. You understand? And they made this tremendous, courageous stance against colonial oppression, and in effort to escape, of course, the colonizer ended up getting the best of them and shot him up in a van. But everybody all the colonizers that was with him got it too, you dig? And so it was just a tremendous form of resistance in 1970, August 7th, 1970, by Jonathan Jackson. A year later, his brother George, who the colonizers imprisoned. Can't remember what year they imprisoned George Jackson. It must have been like 1960, maybe a little earlier, because Jonathan was a young child, maybe like 8, something like that, 7, 8. And when George was in prison, and George Jackson would write letters home and to his parents, and then some to his younger brother. And from prison, George Jackson as he politicized himself. When you do, the chairman always says, when you do this work, when you become involved in the African liberation movement, the movement changes you. It does something to you to make you a better type of person. And so George, while learning, and you can watch his growth. The book is called Soledad, brother. You know, while George is in prison, he's doing the best he can to understand his circumstances. He allegedly stole $70 damn from some convenience store, gas station, or something like that. And the California colonizers gave Brother George one year to life, or 1 year to 25, or some kind of foolish sentence, right? But it was a year to some long ass number, and every time he got up for parole, sent him back to the damn prison cell, right? But from prison, George was able to politicize Jonathan and give Jonathan the political education that made him realize that Africans have the right to resist. Africans need to resist the nasty, foul, stinking social system of colonial capitalism. And in 1971, August 21st, 1971, the colonizers killed George Jackson while he was in prison. And so after that, shortly after that, Africans began to memorialize those brothers and other comrades as with the advent of the Black August celebrations. But then you look at August and you see all kinds of other activity around our resistance. I mean, Nat Turner and all kinds of rebellions. Even Dr. King's thing. I wouldn't. If you listen to Malcolm talk, he talks about how before the colonizers put King and the other members of the Big Six in front of this march on Washington. This march on Washington had a different kind of tone. Africans were talking about laying down on runways and not letting planes leave, and they were busting colonizers upside the head. It was all kind of stuff going on. It was rebellion happening in August. Leading up to this march that Africans planned for August. And although of course that was before 1970, it's still the spirit of this August, the zeitgeist of resistance that has been a part of history for African people in this country and around the world. Even the Haitian Revolution in 1791 or so. I mean, you can see some of the emergence of that stirring up in August. So yeah, Black August. And I mentioned a bit ago that the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations held a webinar this past weekend, and the webinar was the resistance to police terror, honoring our political prisoners and prisoners of war. Yeah, and I told you I had a magnificent weekend because I had the opportunity to talk to so many political prisoners, former political prisoners, prisoners of war. Y'all know the difference between a political prisoner and a prisoner of war? I'll tell you. A political prisoner is a prisoner whom the colonizer imprisons because of their political stance, their political ideological work and efforts, and even if not because of the social force or social class that particular person belongs to, opposes the status quo. I mean, every African in jail and prison right now is a political prisoner, whether they know it or not, because the reason why they're there is because the colonial capitalist wants them there, because they can't fight like they can inside, like they can outside while they're inside, but you can't fight inside. And I had the opportunity to speak with and listen to the difference political prisoners and prisoners of war. Prisoners of war are those comrades, sisters, and brothers like Assata Shakur who were brave enough, courageous enough to engage and organized enough to engage in armed struggle against the colonizer. Pick up the gun or the hatchet or whatever they could to put a dent in colonialism and colonial aggression. So that's what that's the difference, the distinction rather between prisoners of war and political prisoners. And so I had the opportunity to talk to so many of them. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we roll into last segment right here on the Life Malcolm Show. I'm looking for your phone call, man, right here on the Life Malcolm. Oh, yeah, 813-444-9588. Give me a call, man.
Touch Radio anywhere, on your phone.
I'm listening right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
All right. All right, so this is the last break. This is the last segment. That was our last break. This is our last segment. This is the Life Malcolm Show. I'm your host, Life Malcolm. And so, Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations had the webinar. The full title was Deepening the Resistance to Police Terror, Honoring Our Political Prisoners and Prisoners of War, Black Community Control of the Police. And I had an opportunity to speak with Jan Laman, Sekou Dinga, brother Jihad Abdul Moment, and hear them speak firsthand about brothers like Sundiata Akoli. Also, they raised up brother Dr. Mutulu Shakur, who just celebrated a birthday on the 8th, Black August. And, we talked about, amongst many other things, the significance of Mumia Abu Jamal, who, has been locked in the colonizers' dungeons for almost 60 years. So it was just a tremendous opportunity. You should go check out the webinar and learn something about political prisoners, prisoners of war, and resistance. Black community control of police. All right, so I promised y'all we're going to get to a word from the word, and we're going to do that. But I want to talk about motion to suppress right quick, because I said I was going to do a little bit of something about the law. And since we're talking about resistance, resistance is an important part of American jurisprudence. As a matter of fact, it's written into the common law and is commonly known as the Exclusionary Rule, which means, which applies when the government, the state, a state actor, engages in an unlawful search or an unlawful seizure. And you might say, well, what is a unlawful search? The Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution makes declares all persons safe in their houses, papers, something else, and effects. I can't remember, it's one other thing, but houses, papers, something, and effects. And should that safety is guaranteed absent a warrant and probable cause. You got to have both, a warrant and probable cause. And a warrant has to come down from a neutral magistrate based on an affidavit by somebody saying they have probable cause, and this neutral magistrate then issues this warrant. But they have to have probable cause too. If they don't have a warrant or probable cause, they have to have, there are warrant exceptions and there are probable cause exceptions. And so a warrant, hold on. well, let's deal with this. I don't think there's no probable. I don't think there's no probable cause exceptions. That's wrong. Yeah, but there's warrant exceptions. Yeah, there's some probable cause exceptions, but let's deal with the warrant exceptions. There's several, and like exigent circumstances, for example. They'll use exigent circumstances. They'll use probable cause as a warrant exception. If you get pulled over and they say you smell like something, your tail light was out, you fit the description, all that stuff they say to us, that gives them so-called probable cause to get past this warrant exception sometimes if you're in an automobile, for example, because, evidence can get away when you're in an automobile, because of the automobile's mobility. You have a search incident to arrest kind of thing, if they pat you down and they feel something in your pocket and then they say, oh, it's a weapon, probable cause not to go in your pocket. Then if you're not supposed to have the weapon, then they can arrest you, and then once they arrest you, they can search everything within your wingspan, blah, 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 blah. However, if they don't have probable cause and a warrant or a warrant exception, then you get to exclude the evidence. However, there's also an exception to the exclusionary rule. They have a way to get around that stuff. But the point is this. One of the best things we can do as colonized people, wherever we are, is resist colonialism by every means necessary. By every means necessary. And so, in order to be able to resist per se unreasonable searches and seizures, and a seizure is when they capture you or your stuff. I talked about searches, and they have to have a warrant or probable cause to capture you. So if they stopped you for no reason, a Celia law firm where I work, we had a client who they're accused of having drugs. They say the colonizer cop say he saw the brother roll up and shake hands on a bicycle with somebody. So his brother on the bicycle, he roll up, shake hands, and but this guy say, the colonizer say it wasn't a handshake he saw, but he witnessed our client give the person standing outside on the sidewalk something that looked like U.S. currency, something green that resembled U.S. currency, and in return get something small that he couldn't tell what it was. And based on his training and experience, he knew that he had just seen a hand-to-hand drug transaction. And so they allegedly caught our client with drugs, and they started chasing my client. They didn't chase the guy with the drugs. We don't know if it's with the small thing that they gave our client. They ain't chase him, even though they say they thought he had the drugs, right? They didn't chase the supplier. They chased the so-called purchaser of the little piece thing, right? As if he got all the dope, but not the supplier, but the one who went and bought a little piece, right? So they chased him down, right? And even though he on a bicycle, they had a better chance of catching the dude on foot. But they chased the dude on the bicycle, right? And in this process, allegedly saw him throw a gun and stuff like that. So we said, no. There's something wrong with this stop, because you have to have all kinds of reasons, like real reasons. We'll talk about. I want to talk about motion to suppress a little bit more, but run out of time. So we'll talk more about motion to suppress on the stop idea, and I'll tell you how that thing worked out for our client. I will tell you this: we submitted a motion to suppress to the court. The court granted the motion to suppress. They can't use the drugs, and they charged the client with resisting arrest without violence, because they make it illegal for you to run from the colonizer. You can't fight the colonizer, can't kill the colonizer, can't run from the colonizer, or you get them. They say that's resisting without violence. You just got to, be stupid and stay there and get beat or shot or, captured or something like that, right? So, Yeah, so they say that got to go because you can't resist arrest if the stop is unlawful. So we were able to make that happen. But the point is, you gotta get a good attorney. That's the point on that part right there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to Matthew 10, y'all. We got 6 minutes. We're gonna do it in 6 minutes. All right. So let me find my text. Amen. I done lost my. Hold on, I'm finna get it for you though. All right. Did anybody look it up? Why don't you call in and holler at your boy on the text part of on the Bible part of the game. All right, cool. All right, y'all. How these people be calling me for real? All right, wrong phone. Call the 813-444-958. Okay, all right, bet. Here we go. Well, I said we're going to start 16. Behold, Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. That don't mean be nonviolent. Because if you stick your hand in the dove's nest where it don't belong, the dove going to peck the hell at you, make you back that ass up. That's what he gonna do. The dove gonna get you up out of there. Especially if the dove got eggs in the nest, the dove is gonna deal with you. And you got to be wise as serpents, so you got to, be slick, move in a certain kind of way, when you round the wolves, but beware. Look, this the part I really want you to pay attention to. We just got done talking about the law. And this is supposed to be Jesus' words. If you have the old Bible, I don't even know what the new Bibles look like. Mine is old. But they used to have the words in red for when Jesus talking. And so you should see this is Jesus' words here. He says, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils. That's the court. He says, so watch them snitches. That's what the Bible says. Watch the snitches. Because they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And they're going to talk about you after you leave court. You go to church, you're going to say, look, that crook, you know how they do. You know how they talk about you in some churches now, I'm saying. And then it says, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake. Now, who are the governors and the kings? That's the state. That's the rulers. That's the status quo. That's the colonizer. In Jesus' day, it was the Romans. Who had the Jews colonized, ran everything. The Jews ran every facet of the Jews' lives, and they had some Uncle Toms in place. The Uncle Tom Jew named Herod, was the one that tried to kill Jesus from Jesus' birth, and going down to 21. Let's skip now because I only got 3 minutes. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. That's revolutionary times. Revolution is the overturning of social systems. I remember Malcolm talking about how China, he saw this picture of this young girl with a pistol to her father's head, about to blow his brains out because he was an Uncle Tom Chinaman. And, next thing you know, a generation later, no more Uncle Toms in China, and China had emerged to be this formidable superpower, at least a powerful force against colonial domination. So you got to get rid of Uncle Tom's, even if it means abandoning any kind of loyalty that you have to your family, because blood relatives is nothing but a biological kind of happenstance. The real relationship is revolutionary, ties that bind you through revolutionary struggle and ideology and practice. And then this is the part I like too. You shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. We shall be free. We shall win the revolution. We're going to overturn the social system. This is how I'm reading these words. And it says, but when they persecute you in this city, flee ye to another city. Right? For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the city, but flee into another city. That's the part right there I want to deal with. I'm doing this quickly because, got to talk about other stuff. Look, flee quick. Jesus said, move like a gorilla. not like King Kong or Caesar from the Planet of the Apes, but like a gorilla, Guerilla. LLA. Yeah, move like a gorilla. Guerrilla warfare. You got to keep moving. You know, when they get up on you, when they persecute you, when they move like a gorilla. You know, and then this part I like right here too is say the disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. We all comrades in this thing. Even though somebody's got to lead and somebody's got to follow. The leaders follow the commands of the people. The people are the driving force of every revolution, but you have to have a vanguard in front of that force to move revolution to its ultimate conclusion. And but we all comrades together. So just wanted to share those things with you. I hope you got what you needed from it, and if not, got some more for you next week right here on the Life Malcolm Show. InTouchNews.com. You can check the replay, all that stuff. Appreciate y'all being here, man. I love y'all. We'll talk in the future.